And once more, in a televised statement today, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that all citizens, rather civilized countries, should be supporting Israel and promised that the war won't stop until the battle is won. Take a listen.
Yet President Macron and some other Western leaders are now calling for an arms embargo against Israel. Shame on them.
Good. Let's now bring in Dakota Wood, a foreign policy and military expert in the conversation. Good evening and thanks for your time.
It's good to be with you as always.
So I'd like to begin by asking you your assessment, your analysis of Netanyahu's speech today, where he says that Israel will keep fighting till the battle is won. To what end?
Well, right now, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iran, the Houthis, they have all pledged the elimination of the state of Israel. So Netanyahu is taking them at their word. You know, Hamas massacred, not just killed, but massacred, brutally raped, decapitated, tortured 1,200 Israeli citizens, and they still hold something like 100 hostage. They continue to prosecute attacks against Israel. Hezbollah has struck Israel almost on a daily basis since October of last year, and certainly has conducted attacks over the last 10 or 15 years. Just a few days ago, Iran fired 200 ballistic missiles at Israel. So if a country like France was attacked by Belgium and Spain and Poland and Hungary with missiles and all sorts of rocket fire, would France be conciliatory? Would they say, hey, we need this fighting to stop, we won't do anything, please don't send us any weapons? Every country has a sovereign right to protect itself, and that's what Netanyahu is doing on behalf of the state of Israel.
So let me ask you this. While we understand what he's saying as a leader and how Israel has a right to defend itself, at the same time, we've heard of these peace calls, ceasefire calls, de-escalation calls from very own allies of Israel who are supporting Israel at the moment. Do you believe that all those calls are just mere lip service and they don't actually mean anything, and they will let Netanyahu do what he wants to do, quote unquote, till the battle is won?
Well, Netanyahu is going to do what he's going to do regardless of what these calls are for. So I don't think there's no value to them, and we should all strive for peace. But the only peace that is kind of relevant or practical in the Middle East is if all these other countries stop prosecuting a fight that would lead to the elimination or the destruction of Israel. So Israel has to do what it's going to do to survive in a very rough neighborhood. But I think, again, whether it's the young people or the pro-Palestinian movement or leaders from different countries calling for a ceasefire, this ceasefire would be great if both sides observed it. Why doesn't Hamas let the hostages go? Why does Hezbollah continue to prosecute rocket and missile attacks? You know, why do the Houthis, who are 3 countries away, aid Iran in prosecuting attacks against Israel? So the calls for peace are good, and I think they're noble, but they have to be pragmatic and practical.
But it's an interesting development taking place today while we have Emmanuel Macron of France calling for halt of weapons to Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, coming out, lashing out at Western allies, saying shame on them. My question to you is, if France has started with that call, do you foresee other nations joining that call as well?
Well, certainly. I mean, half of all UN resolutions condemning something are aimed at the state of Israel. So there is a broad swath of the global community, if you use that term, that would support this call by France. But why didn't France call for Iran to stop supplying munitions to the Houthis and to Hezbollah, various Shia militia groups in Syria, and Hamas? Why is it always directed at Israel? So again, I go back to the Israelis are dealing with the practical problem. Their reality are these attacks and the violence. Everybody else is dealing with the possibility of a problem. So if France continues to support Israel, for example, is there a Palestinian or an Arab or a Muslim faction that might cause problems for the French government in France? So it could be that out of Paris, they're calling for this ceasefire, not for an international interest, but more of a domestic security interest. And so I think these various groups, whether they're students or pro-Palestinians, they have to keep that in mind.
All right. We leave it at that for this evening, though. Dakota Wood, foreign policy and military expert. Always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great for being with you. Thanks.